Yo, what is good, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Chad bringing y'all another video. Before we get started with this video, man, I just want to thank y'all once again for everyone that's recently subscribed, shared the video, liked the videos. Last week, like Monday, I was looking at my subscriber count and I was at like 406. By Sunday, so day before yesterday, I reached 572, and then as of yesterday, I reached 600. So I just want to thank everybody for subscribing, for liking the content, leaving comments. I always like to read comments, even if I don't agree with them. I do like to hear everyone's opinion. You feel me? And yeah, just all glory to God for allowing you all to see my content. I definitely appreciate it. But this video that we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be talking about the recent protests in Cuba. Now, before we actually get to the recent protests in Cuba, just a little background. I actually went to Cuba about, I want to say 5 to 6 years ago, before Trump didn't allow us to go back to Cuba. I did go with my family on like a cruise. So mentioning me going to Cuba, I actually did record a vlog of my trip in Cuba. And if you want, you can see that like annotation. It should be over here. I think I'll add it in so that way it pops up if you want to watch it. Because yeah, I went to Cuba. Now, when I got to Cuba, I'm just going to tell you all what I saw. Cuba was nice. Like, how like you look at photos of, what is the word for it? Like, places look old and the buildings are kind of old looking and they have like classic cars. That's Cuba. Now, when I was there, I was like, oh, this is cool. But almost all the people were poor. I kid you not. All the people were like poor. They were, asking for money. The biggest attraction it really had was like tourism. So like when we got off the cruise ship, we were allowed to like walk around. We got Cuban cigars, Cuban alcohol, and then you had like a marketplace that you go to, and they were selling like Cuba t-shirts and keychains and like fruits and stuff. And the people were really working for their dollar. I kid you not. But most people were poor. It was even so bad that like you had to pay 25 or 50 cents just to use the bathroom anywhere. So like if you were anywhere and they had a public restroom, people would stand outside the restroom and charge you like 50 cents just to use the bathroom. And one dude came up to me. He was like a teenager, like a little kid. He looked homeless. Well, he didn't look homeless. He was homeless. And he was like just begging for $1. And what's crazy is I think in Cuba they use a different type of currency. So yeah, they use a different type of currency. I just looked it up. They used the Cuban peso. And when the boy had come up to me, he was like, I don't want the Cuban peso. No Cuban peso. Now, he could barely speak English, but he was telling me no Cuban peso, like American dollar only, American dollar. So I guess the American dollar goes further at that time than the Cuban peso does. So I had given him like $1 or so. And like once you give people money out there, it's like everybody wants $1 because like I said, they're all poor. They were also letting us know while we were out there, like, not many people have housing because the government owns like all the houses, and so the people have to then like negotiate with the government and stuff to be able to get a house. Now, there were people that lived in a good part of Cuba that had money and they were living nice, but for the most part it was like people weren't really living how we do here in America. Now, as we get to the protests, the people of Cuba, they're really protesting their government because, as we all know, Cuba has a communist government. You have Fidel Castro at one point, and then I think his brother took over, and I'm not really sure who's in charge right now. I just know it's just communism, you feel me? Sorry that I'm not that knowledgeable on who is over Cuba, but I just know that it's communism. And so the people down there are really protesting because, one, they're standing in long lines just for chicken and bread. Like, their government is not feeding them. People are starving. Their government's really oppressing them. So it's like real communism. Like, the government has all the control. You get no say so. If you act out, you get arrested. You go to jail. You may disappear. That sort of thing. And so, like I said, the people are standing long lines for food and water and just basic necessities. They're not getting housing. They need COVID vaccines, but the government's not giving COVID vaccines. And so, now the people, they just had enough. They're just like, at this point, you know, the government has been oppressing us for so long that we're sick of it. Like, we're out here starving. We have no home. We have nothing. And they're also like, I'm just looking at an article here on pbs.org, and they're like, they have money to build hotels, but they don't have money to get us, basic necessities. And, at that point, like I said, when I was there, I was like, I kind of feel bad for Cuba because, their government's oppressing them, and then the way they live is almost like if they were living in the I want to say like 40s and 50s of the US. And that was back in like 2016 when I went. So like I said, they had all classic cars. They had like the buildings, they weren't nice. It was like buildings that were kind of like destroyed. It's just that old kind of rustic feel. I don't know how to really describe it. It just looked kind of like they were behind in the times, if that makes sense. So the protesters are out there protesting. Like I said, they just had enough. You have police out there from the Cuban government arresting people, police in normal clothes arresting people by like the hundreds. And you also see like the protesters are out there protesting against the communism, and they're waving American flags. Now, this is the whole thing that is like, I should start doing segments called 1 + 2 = 3, right? So you have Cubans who are underneath a communist control from their government, and they're protesting to be free. Meaning like their government stop having any control over, like their government can have some control, but not be a communist country. They want to be able to have food and shelter and all that and not let their government control everything. And so they're protesting freedom, waving the American flag. Now, when people here are protesting, they say the American flag is racist. It doesn't really mean freedom. And it's like, that doesn't add up, because if you think about it, everyone leaves these countries that are underneath communist control, underneath terrible dictators, have terrible authoritarian governments, to come to America for a more free life, more opportunities, less government control, the whole 9 yards basically. And people here in America take their freedom for granted. I did see someone recently say, like, there used to be a point in time when Americans used to protest for their rights. Today we're protesting to have those rights taken away. And, back to Cuba, it's like Cubans, everybody that's been in a communist control knows. They know themselves that this is not it. And when they get over here to America, they don't vote for communism. Pitbull, he was on some show, I don't know if it was Hot Ones or he was just doing some show, and he was like, I grew up in communism and a government that was too oppressive to the people, and I see people here in America voting for that because they don't know any better. And he's like, I'm not going for that. Like, that's what Pitbull was like. He was like, I'm not going for it. I'm definitely not voting for that. Like,
let's just call a spade. And the reason I can have this conversation is because my family comes from communism. They fled communism. They had everything taken away from them. Everybody got murdered. Everybody got killed. And that's the reason me, being a first-generation Cuban-American, or maybe us, being first-generation Cuban-Americans, I look at freedom and I appreciate that shit. I appreciate opportunity. I appreciate anything that you give me. All I need is a little slip, partner, and I got you. And that comes from the fact that when a Castro took over everything, and I'm looking at what's going on right now, the only person here that's hot, 38 hot, is Castro. He's going, y'all did it with a virus? Shit. Y'all took over the world with a virus? Y'all gotta be kidding me.
It doesn't make sense that people are really going for this. And even when you look back to 2019, when people in Hong Kong were protesting, they were carrying American flags too, because the American flag is a symbol of freedom.
America's stars and stripes, paraded by Hong Kong protesters angry at their government, stood out starkly in the city on Chinese soil. Many fear their freedoms are being eroded by communist China, and the U.S. might be the only superpower to stop it. Protesters held up posters of Donald Trump and sang the American national anthem.
That's why Americans are so blessed with having the opportunities, the freedom of speech, freedom to do this, free. It's all about freedom. People can, it really blows my mind when I see people say, the American flag doesn't represent all people. We're not really free. I hate America. And it's like, bro, the fact that you're in front of your phone saying, America, we're not really free. American, it doesn't represent everybody. America hates these people, and we're not really free. It's like the fact that you're on your $1,000 iPhone, the fact you're saying we're not free, the fact you're talking bad against the government, the fact you're not having anything to want to do with America is the whole point of America. You have the freedom to do that. Now, if I was in China or if I was in Cuba making these types of videos saying, yeah, our Chinese government is bad, and yeah, I hate Cuba government, and you would go missing, you would be arrested, or people would kill you. And it's just as simple as that. And people really take that for granted here in America. Like, you know, I'm not the type where I'm going to hang my American flag in the background of my videos, because just from watching my videos, you know, like, I love America. The fact that I get to get on this video, say what I want to say, do what I want to do, eat, sleep, have housing, you know, have normal health care, that sort of thing. It's like, I'm very, very glad I was born here in America. Like, I thank God that I was born here in America and not an oppressive country. You know what I mean? Like, people take that for granted, but that's something to really be blessed at. There are people who don't even have the opportunities we do, even if I don't take advantage of the opportunities, you feel me? So when I see people like in Cuba protesting, like I said, when I went to Cuba, I was like, yeah, I don't know how they live here, how they get it done. But like I said, they've been shut out from the outside country because of their government and they're oppressing the people. And even Hong Kong, it's like people in China, they know like this communism is not it. But people in America take it for granted. We take it for granted, but then countries who are really oppressed, they wave American flags and they're begging for their freedom. They're literally begging for their freedom, and we take it for granted. And that's a typical American thing to do. Take everything we have for granted. It's just like it's just like, I'm not gonna compare it to that. I was really gonna say it's just like, you know, living this free life, and then if you go to jail or prison when you can't live free at all and people telling you what to do, that's like communism. You know, you can either live in the outside world and be free, or you can go to jail or prison and have people tell you what to do all day, every day. That's communism, basically. The government has all the say so. If you speak out, they're gonna punish you. If you act out, they're gonna punish you. If you do this wrong, that's basically what it is. And so, you know, the Cuban people, they just had enough. Like, eventually when people have had enough of being oppressed, not having basic necessities like housing, food, and water, and even Cuba, they have like socialist healthcare. People are like, give everybody free healthcare, everybody. Clearly it doesn't work, because they begging for vaccines, they begging for this. They're not getting these necessities that people think communism supports, you know what I mean? So it's just like, if you got anything out of this video, this is basically what I want you to know. Cubans are protesting because their government's oppressing them. They have to stand in long lines for like chicken, bread, food, just basic food and water. They're not getting housing. They're not getting COVID vaccines or like just general health care. And they're waving American flags, begging for their freedom. While we over here are sitting up here saying the flag doesn't mean freedom. And instead of us really trying to keep our freedoms and protesting for our freedoms, we're protesting to have our rights taken away and arguing about genders and how you feel this day and what you don't feel like this day and just dumb stuff. You feel me? But yeah, man, I'll add up all the photos in this video, like of what Cuba protesters look like compared to, Hong Kong in 2019. And then if I can find my photos of me in Cuba, I will show those to you all as well. Actually, let me see if I can find it real quick. Hold on, just to prove it. All right, yeah, man, I was able to find it. I had to get my mom to help me out here. But yeah, so I thought I was a model, you feel me? But this is what Cuba looked like. I don't know if you all, well, you can see it. Hold up, let's see. So you see right there, you got the classic car, and you see how the buildings look, how they have that like kind of old feel to them, but still, it was nice, but it was like everybody was kind of on the verge of being homeless, like all the regular people. If you had money down there, then you were good, but all the regular people kind of just like, everybody was just outside, sitting outside and stuff. But yeah, man, that's me in Cuba, model status, you feel me? But yeah, so I don't know what's really gonna happen with these people protesting, if they'll ever get help, or if communism will finally be reign free. But all I know, 1 + 2 = 3. Americans are free, and all these other countries, they're protesting for their freedom, waving the American flag, because they know how important, and they know that America is land of the free, and the opportunities, the freedoms that we have. That's why everybody looks up to America, because they're like, these folks are free. And people that are not from here know how much people from here take it for granted, man.
I look at freedom and I appreciate that shit.
So if you live here in America, don't take your freedom for granted. Don't try to give away your own rights just because you are following some movement. Think about this stuff, man. Think about it. But yeah, man, if you enjoyed this video, you can leave a like rating if you want. I don't know. But yeah, just leave your comments down below if you have any. And as always, thank you all for watching. It's been your boy Chad, and I'm out. Peace.